Hello everyone and welcome everyone. So now here we are again for the interview session, interview on disability and its challenges. तो उसी के बारे में ये हमारा आज का दूसरा सेशन है. तो आइए आज के हम गेस्ट से मिलते हैं. Hello Ayush.
Hello, James.
How are you? All good? सब बढ़िया?
I'm pretty fine. How are you?
I'm also good. Ayush, can you tell the viewers about something about yourself and family? Okay.
Talking about me itself. So I am in first of all talking about my education background. I am in first year Ramjas College pursuing political science honors. And talking about my family, like I have like there are six members in my family, and like I have a brother, and I live in a joint family with my grandfather and my grandmother. So yeah, that's mostly about my family, and I reside in Delhi itself.
Okay. So you are Delhiite.
Yeah, I am a Delhiite.
Okay, so you're done it. Starting with the main question. What according to you is a disability and तुम्हारे लिए विकलांगता क्या चीज है और तुम्हें अगर किसी तरीके की विकलांगता है तो वो क्या है?
So talking about a disability, the paradigm which basically society has said what is a disability is very thin. Like no, but like the thing which a person can visually see, like जो बंदा देख सकता है, that is basically called as visuality. Like somebody cannot walk, तो basically लोग उसे disable कहते हैं. लोग somebody cannot see, उसे disable कहते हैं. But talking specifically about people who belonging to special learning disability are not being considered by the society. उनको डिसेबल्ड ना कह के उनको पागल बुलाया जाता है. दैट इज अ वेरी स्पेसिफिक पैराडाइम व्हिच आई वांटेड टू फोकस अपॉन. एंड बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग होते हैं व्हिच डू नॉट बेसिकली रिफ्लेक्ट्स और बेसिकली ऐसा लगता नहीं है उनको देख के दैट दे आर डिसेबल्ड. बट द सोसाइटी बेसिकली जजेस यू दैट यू आर डिसेबल्ड और नॉट, और यू आर मेंटल और नॉट ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ व्हाट एक्शंस यू परस्यू. So that is a very constant, or like that is a very constant on the mindset of the society about what is a disability. According to me, a disability is an ability in is an inability to do or pursue some kind of acts. It could be natural, or it could be basically pursued by unnatural events or events which have been created by human itself. And talking about disability which I basically suffer from, so I'm basically a dyslexic student who also suffers from dysgraphia. And yeah, that's it I would like to say.
Okay. So very rightly answered the point that I wanted even to mention. So you mentioned it over there very rightly. Moving on to the next question. What difficulties basically you face if you talk about in a normal day? Is there any barrier or difficulty that you face or any challenges that you face in a normal life? Not in this pandemic we are talking about.
Ah, talking about in a normal life, I wouldn't say that I face a specific problem in out in the world, but the problems which I basically face is regarding the main concentration of my dyslexia is so dyslexia, as we all know, that dyslexia various different kind of forms. Like it affects mind, and basically also affects intellect, and there are various forms. For by God's grace, I didn't have that much or like that much level of dyslexia. Rather than I have a lower level of dyslexia that has been diagnosed, that is also been diagnosed like very good by special educators at a very young age. So talking about some difficulties which I basically face is just like I have issues in writing. Like I can't basically write my own paper, so that is a very grave issue that I have to face. And basically coming into university, that is very a grave issue because like in the school basically provide the scribe, and it didn't have basically like it didn't face any problem. But in university you have to provide, or like you have to basically find your a scribe yourself. The enabling cell in the colleges and the university itself is very helpful, I'll say that, I'll basically recommend that. But the thing is that you basically face issues in finding that, because you can't write your own paper, and you have faced difficulty in writing. And the second most problem is basically about spellings. Like it is connected to writing itself, I'll spot out there only. But yeah, you basically face issues in writing spellings. That is the main concentrated issue that I actually face. And yeah, that also affects in my day-to-day life. Like if in a group of people I basically have to write some set of things on a board, or like have to present something written on this itself, that could be a very grave issue for me. Rather than nowadays, it's the things are quite changing, and like we all have electronic devices, and the soft medium of writing have like quite influential, and it is very helpful for the people of disability itself. So yeah, the barriers aren't that prominent, but they are. But at certain times, we do face issues. I
So
specifically.
basically, if I tell you, it's not a physical barrier that you have. People like you suffering from dyslexia, so they face basically a mental barriers, right? Attitudinal barriers.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's basically the mindset of the people like whom you are interacting with, whom you are like, whom you know. So basically, it's about the mindset of the people. So as
Talking about the
yeah,
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 yeah, please.
continue. You can continue.
So talking about the mindset of the people, so what I specifically said prior also that dyslexia also have very different kind of levels, right? So I have seen dyslexic students. They have been like, sorry, I don't want to affect or offend anyone by saying dyslexic students. I specifically paradigm or support their inheritance, or like support them as a group. If anybody is offended, sorry, trigger warning.
Hmm.
So. Uh, huh. So the thing is that so there's specific levels of dyslexia. So I have seen like my colleagues or my students who are basically in my school itself were like they had a very much problem in learning stuff. Like I also have problem in learning stuff, but rather than I was interested in those items, like I was very interested in SST. Like people said that SST is a very learning subject. It is based on theory, and like dyslexic students can't really do that. But I was really good at SST, and like I basically scored 100% in my SST examinations. So that is a very different kind of thing. Like it basically depends on the interest, the set of interest where actually it lies. Like I have seen people who are like not interested in study always fail, but they are like artists right now, and they basically work in national art gallery. So that is like a very prominent thing to do. So like that is the stuff I could able to say, that it is not about mindset, it is about the set of interests.
Okay. So I got your point. So, like moving on to the next question. So, what do you think, according to you, what can be the remedies, alternatives, or any solutions or suggestions you would you like to give to like your friends or the people in the society as a whole? Like, in what way do they should react, or what needs to be done? What change needs to be brought in?
So first of all, the first change that needs to be brought is awareness about dyslexia. That what is dyslexia? Because like whenever I tell a person that I am dyslexic, so they will like dyslexia क्या होता है?
Hmm.
So I state one thing, like I can't really influence people about what is dyslexia, and मैं पूरा समझा नहीं सकता. तो I basically say, have you seen तारे ज़मीन पर? So I know that is a very vague definition of dyslexia, but like it is very good because like people have seen that movie, and it was very uh, it is very famous movie, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. So that I said. So first of all, awareness among people what is dyslexia and what the problems what they basically go through. So you have seen that people like I'll say that for a hypothetical situation, we are living in a utopia where everybody is a nice person. So if there is a blind person on the street, they basically help them basically cross the street. But have you seen any person who is gone through dyslexia, going through dyslexia, helping anyone writing any stuff in real life situations or real class? I haven't seen anyone doing that stuff. So that is a problem that can be done, or like recorded lectures to basically for further or extension understanding that would be done for the people with disability. And talking about like, I know that I'm no one to basically command anyone or tell anyone regarding to what to do with the child or do with yourself, but the thing that I would recommend is special education as a whole is a very important and vital topic, and that could be easily done. uh, I know that is it could get a little vague, and it is based on personal testimony of mine. But at a very young age, I was diagnosed with dyslexia. I was in second or third. So after that, my parents started my special education, and it basically continued to a span of 7 to 8 years. Like it continued to ninth, I guess.
Mhm.
And I guess that really helped me out to basically like get out of the situation or get basically out. Rather than I'll be also been acknowledging my teachers at the school who have been learning. There was a learning center at my school itself, which was very prominent and it was very great. The teachers over there were very helpful for me. So like yeah, I guess special education is a thing that could be basically help to basically engage themselves in the society and basically improve themselves. Yeah, that's it that I would like to able to say.
Okay. So, like moving, going to a back bit, changing a topic to bit. Yeah. So, but basically, what's your aim, or what do you want to become in life? What do you want to achieve in your life?
Talking about what I want to achieve in like, so right now I'm basically concentrated, or like my set of interests lie in political apparatuses around the world. So I basically, or like the relations among the different political apparatuses. So I basically wanted to or continue a degree, or like continue my future as a policy research in international relations, or basically, or the ultimate goal is to be a diplomat. But that would be a very far much thing to say about.
Okay, okay, I'll clarify. So you want to study more and more, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so according to that, as much I am able to understand, so if I'm not wrong, okay, just correct me if I'm wrong. So dyslexia comes under learning disability, right? If I'm not wrong,
Yes, yes,
right? Yeah.
yes.
So according to the like when people know and come to know about learning disability, so what they think is person doesn't knows anything or something. I've seen like it can be a superstition or something like that. So they say like इनके अंदर दिमाग नहीं है या और they don't understand or ये याद नहीं रख सकते. These type of people are also there in the society. So what do you think about them? Because they have a
So,
mindset this type of person.
so the thing is, like, obviously that will be also based on my personal testimony, that people are there. People would say stuff like that. I have heard stuff like that from my for the classmates itself, like, देखो कुछ नहीं आता तेरे अंदर दिमाग नहीं है, you're freaking dumb. So like what I was able to grasp, like first of all their influence, like what they said hurted me. It hurted me a lot, but that made my skin freaking hard. Like if now anyone freaking says anybody to, I could fucking answer to them. Sorry for the language. I could answer to them whatever I basically wanted to, and whatever I language to, and in whatever aptitude I wanted to say. That it gives basically an act. It gives basically a it basically gives you hard skin to tackle further things and stuff, because it is a very harsh reality to say the world isn't very perfect for people who have disabilities. It isn't, and I don't think so that it will be in for like people are trying, and everybody is trying. Like Jayant itself is trying to basically make a perfect world for the disabled, but I don't think so. Like in a coming time, it is going to be in India. I don't think so. So like you have to face stuff. What my views are about them is listen them, don't feel them. Like
Okay, just listen.
listen what the
Yeah, listen them from 1 year and just let it go from the second year out, right?
एग्जैक्टली एग्जैक्टली एक कान से सुनो, एक कान से निकाल दो, उनको समझो भी मत व्हाट दे आर सेइंग. लाइक उनको इन्फ्लुएंस मत करने दो अपने आप को. दे आर बेसिकली वांट टू हैवी ओवर यू. दे आर नॉट अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट स्ट्रगल्स आर यू गोइंग थ्रू, what the struggles you actually have. They do not know anything. So do not let influence them on yourself. What I would able to say.
Okay, okay, okay. So, moving on to some next question. So, like as you said, like India will not be the perfect one. See, the perfect word is something different, meaning in different. So, what we the person with disabilities, the conditions, if we see in last 2 decades or 3 decades, if we see in the history or the past, it was like very bad. And when we see it today, it's like quite better. I cannot say very much better, but it's quite better from the last few decades that we see.
Yeah, that is very important. That is very important to acknowledge itself, because I have heard people saying that, like my grandfather, like my XYZ cousin was disabled. Like my father has also said that his XYZ cousin was disabled, and he was eventually died because he was not that sound, like due to some natural habits. Like that is very like I know that it is very hurting, and that is not very sound to say that, but that is a very hurting thing to listen. So talking about right now, like I know people who are basically going through various kind of syndromes, who basically died prior to their age because they weren't kept very much, because they think that they are a liability to the society or liability to the family rather than an asset, which they actually are. So like there is a lot of things that have been changing. People are becoming aware. People are getting medicines for the same. There are a lot of camps which are basically getting. They are basically mental health researches and mental health resources for the people going through disability, because the cases for bullying, if I talk, a person with disability has a uh, double chances of get got bullied by someone rather than a normal person who's going to school. So mental health also is a very important topic for the people with disability, because actually to overcome the disability you actually have. So first of all, the step is to overcome the disability which actually have. You basically need guts. You basically have to accept yourself. Like acceptance is the first step, and it will be the first base that you are like that and you will be like that. But the thing that is, you basically have to work upon it to better yourself.
Okay, very rightly answered. Like, so let's move towards our next question a bit. So my next question to you is like, what the barriers that I asked you the solutions, I asked you the problems that the people with dyslexia face more normally. So and the society that the mindset they have. So now next moving to the next question. So what this condition, the pandemic condition has brought a change, or what more challenging it has made your life, or it is more easier which has made your life? What do you say on that?
Honestly, I would say that the pandemic has made my life a little bit easier, because right now nothing is basically written, or like nothing is basically like it doesn't like कि तुम notes बनाओ या फिर anything just like that, but rather than it is very virtual. So I am basically very comforting in basically confronting people, or basically writing stuff, or basically I could type out everything, or basically I had the first facility, or I had the advantage of the pandemic itself to grow myself. So I would like to say that pandemic was a nice thing, but rather than who doesn't miss the outdoors. So that is also been the thing. But
That
talking about,
of
yeah,
course understandable, like environment, like outside environment, the natural environment always everyone misses. That's not a thing. The thing is about here, like what the barriers that you used to face, or the challenges you used to face in a normal life, are you facing the same or more or less
I
comparing
think
to the
I think
yeah.
I think comparative to the normal life which you actually had, I think we are facing a less number of comparison. First of all, there are no bullies, so that is the biggest relief.
Right, right, right.
I don't think so. There will be bullies for me itself, and uh, fortunately there aren't. And the second is that like nobody is seeing me. Like always had a complex that if I'm making class notes itself, that if anybody sees that I'm writing this and मेरी writing और मेरी स्पेलिंग इतनी ज्यादा गलत और इतनी ज्यादा गंदी है, तो मेरे को बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स फील होता है, बिकॉज पीपल यूज टू कॉमेंट ऑन दैट. मेरे क्लोज फ्रेंड्स भी करते थे, बिकॉज लाइक दोस्त ऐसे होते हैं. हाँ, like हाँ, तो I am feeling like now I am having a kind of a personal space over there. I have the liberty to write whatever I basically want to, in a whatever way I basically wanted my notes to be. So I think that has made stuff quite easier for me.
So basically, this pandemic has opened your doors and opportunities. Rather, if we talk about the barriers and the challenges that you used to face in a normal life, so this pandemic has like expanded up your mind, like to think beyond your disability, right?
Yeah, I could say that. Like I am also been called an extreme optimistic, so that might be the result of saying these all these things. But I think so that it is a nice thing.
So this is a great chance and a great opportunity for all the persons with disabilities like you suffering, like
Exactly.
thinking and taking this pandemic in a positive way. Rather, what the people used to like hear, what I used to hear, or what the people used to think. I'm talking about rather persons with and without disabilities also. So they both are thinking like this is very bad time or something. Yeah, we understand this is a bad time. We just need to be in a one room and virtually we can meet. We cannot meet physically. So we need to understand because this is just a virus. If we understand that virus and we take all the required precautions, so don't think so. This is a bad time for anyone. What I've learned over here.
I
And
think that I think that people are saying that it is a very bad thing. So first of all, like it is a thing. It is a bag of mixed opinion. Honestly, like it is like for pandemic as a whole is a bad, because you can't basically go outdoors, enjoy things rather than, and at important times also. And it is a very important of time, because uh first of all the thing was ki, like people are getting less bullied up, uh, and there was also starts, or like there was like what was it, the the less impact of women harassment as a whole in the Delhi. I heard a report by Delhi. There was a student of Delhi University. He was in second year. He wanted to pursue gender studies. So he basically wrote a report that how pandemic in his first 3 months basically resulted in very less number of sexual cases, I can't say sexual cases, but violations among women by men rather than in real life. So that is a very positive aspect to see basically in in this pandemic.
Rightly, right. I understand your point. You mean to say like these cases of sexual harassment
Exactly, exactly.
or the
I was not able to
crime
put in the right
against,
words.
yeah, crime against the women has like decreased in this.
Exactly. But rather than, we also have the grief social internet bullying and the people who have been texting or basically calling women continuously, saying bad things about them or sending vague and bad pictures to them. So that is also issue which we able to constantly able to see in the world right now.
Yeah, because what all the information that I have gone through and read, so it's that like the crime that you are saying has, yes, I can agree with you, a bit it has decreased, but the cyber crime has increased much more faster than, like, what should I say? It's like 100 times it has like
Exactly.
increased. And what
Yeah.
we see, because the everything has gone virtual, so the cyber crime has increased. And what,
Exactly. Like people don't like what I'm thinking. Like people are having in their free time they used to go outside, hang out, but right now they don't have stuff to do. So and honestly, India के लोग काफी ज़्यादा बेरोजगार है. Like college students भी, so they basically need fun, and the definition of fun for everybody is like quite different. So I can't basically say as and term it as fun, or because fun would be very justicable, but rather than these kind of activities aren't justiciable at all.
yeah, I understand. Look, they can never be justifiable. But
Exactly.
whatever gone through, like the persons with disabilities and the girls or the women with disabilities have faced lots of discrimination and, what should I say, a domestic violence that they have faced. Not only the person with the disabilities or the women with disabilities, without disabilities have also faced a lot on their a lot of pain or domestic violence in these pandemic or tough times. What I mean to say.
So first of all, talking about the violence or talking about the domestic violence as a whole. Honestly, I haven't come across any such cases. I might be a little unsound about this topic. I'm sorry, but I haven't basically come across it. But rather than the second thing, which I have quite prominently seen, is the issues regarding mental health as a whole, not in specifically of the people of disability, but as a people, as a specific teenager, I would like to say, I don't think so. Like before pandemic or before going everything virtual, I was I or everybody was that saddened or that thing. But I think that this made our world a little sad, I basically think. Like
Yeah,
the
coming to the
issues
point,
or the case.
yeah, coming back to the point. It's just it has been like just I just got like a distracted a bit and just it took me some in another way. So like coming to the back to the topic. So like you told about the mental health. So what do you think? Like the person with mental illness or mental retardation or any, I'm not going to the terminologies, or the person with mental retardation or people like you. So they might have like, what do you think? It is more a phase of like, what should I say, improvement or like degradation, because they have degraded to their like mental health. Because mental health is not limited only to a person with disability. That I'm talking as of now, you can just tell about the persons with disabilities being a
I,
person with dyslexia. Yeah.
I think that mental health has given have taken a toll in this pandemic as everything has gone virtual. So I think that same concentrated level of the mental health illness would also be applied on the person with disability, as we all know. But specific the problem is that I can't really say that the people of person with disability have a low tendency or low facing power. It would be very wrong to say that. But I think that face having any kind of issue with like any kind of issue which has been applied to a normal person or a person with disability, which eventually have more impact on the person with disability, because first of all he's basically tackling his disability which has been ingrained to him, and rather than after that he's basically tackling the mental health. But talking about the mental health of a person with disability, like not, I can't say that it is specific to the pandemic as a whole, but seeing that the burden which they actually have on their mind of being disabled, or the mindset have them been created by the society that they are disabled, is also a very big or pretty big toll with what they actually have. And I don't think so during the pandemic that would be reduced, that would be very instinct to themselves. And yeah, and I have also seen like families we being very insensitive about a person with disability, as they'll be basically including name calling and including various kind of stuff. And I think that could also become very horrifying for a person who's been going through a lot.
Okay, so as you said, like this pandemic might have like overburden or overloaded the mental health condition of the person with disabilities. So, according to this, like what you think, like according to you, a change can be brought? What through which way? And as you rightly said, like in your previous comments, also when you made it, that person with disability should accept his or her disability first, then only the society will accept him or her as a person with disability, or as a person who needs equally who needs equal dignity, and which everyone has the right to equal dignity of life and liberty.
uh Honestly, I think that what could be done to basically face among the stigma of being disabled could be basically going through, like it would be very like, first of all, talk. Like talk is the first more or the foremost solution. Talk with anyone who you basically feel comfortable with. It could be anyone. It could be your basically teacher. It could be basically your mother. It could be your father. It could be your brother. It could be your cousin. It could be your friend. Anybody. It could be. You feel that person is close to you. Basically, have a word with them. Talk to them. That is the most or foremost important thing. And I think if that person truly likes your, like he's basically close to you, he basically will help you or basically energize you, or basically would uh what could say not empathize, but I would say it would basically like it, yeah, it would energize you or give a certain kind of mindset what you basically have to do or should do about yourself. And if that's not the second resort, what I could say is that reach out to uh, any psychologist, like not for therapy I would say, but psychologists as a whole is a very influential group that basically very helps you in basically tackling some problems which are facing day-to-day problems. That could be like not change yourself but rather accept yourself. I would say changing yourself is a very bad thing for the society. Like you're basically being standardized regarding the norms which are the society have created, which are very vague. So don't be like that. Be exclusive. You are exclusive, you will be always exclusive, but accept your exclusivity and basically embrace that rather than accepting to the norms of the society which have been created. So basically go to like therapy could be a thing. Like therapy could be a last resort when the things get very extreme or you're not able to basically deal with things. Or you basically can talk, like for example Jayant itself. Like I basically talked to Jayant regarding many things when I was not feeling very well, and he really helped me. And like you also can call me or like have a conversation with me. That would be very good. I would really like or really would love to help any of you if you basically want to.
So basically, you
So
are
yeah,
talking about the counseling thing, right? If I'm not
yeah,
going,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Counseling aspect, and like counseling could be done by a specific person who basically sound about the things, or like it could be done by the psychologist, and that would be the obviously the best. But
Yes.
not everybody has a reach to psychologist. So yeah.
So any major things you would like to say regarding like any changes like this pandemic will like bring to persons with disabilities or persons like with dyslexia, which would like benefit, as you said, this pandemic is benefiting you and even is limiting you to a bit. But what do you think the post pandemic, like where you would be standing?
So for first of all, like for pandemic, first of all, it gives a lot of. So first of all, person with disabilities, like first of all, as people belonging to specific have specific learning disability have rather comparative a slow rate or slow rate of understanding things. So first of all, the pandemic has give them a long stretch of basically understanding things. They basically can rewatch the lectures, they rewatch the classes what have been done. So I think that, and like they basically can have longer time duration in studying, so that could be very helpful them to understand basic things that they basically left out in the normal classes. So that could be a very beneficial thing, and that could be done by the schools. That the initiative could be done by the schools. And talking about the what could be specifically done for them in this paradigm. So there are many organizations as a whole which are basically providing special education to specific people belonging to people who are belonging to specific learning disabilities. So if they are basically not able to afford the special education because it is quite expensive, I've seen that, like there are people who are basically charging 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees for a single class itself. So they could basically reach out those organizations who are basically doing this stuff for free, and they basically could join the sessions or basically could develop the skills what they actually have. And yeah, that could be a very beneficial thing for themselves, because that would basically able to gain strength, or basically that would be able to very that would be that would be a stage that could basically help them to grow their understanding, or basically increase their understanding, or like these kind of stuff could be concentrated upon. So I think that step also could be taken. And rather than the thing of practice, like everybody, like practice is a very important perspective. Like when my handwriting was wrong, everybody told me basically practice karo. जितनी writing की practice करोगे उतनी better होगी, spelling की practice करोगे पढ़ोगे उतना better होगा. So that the thing is that time ज़्यादा है लोगों के पास, time ज़्यादा हो रहा है, तो basically people from disability can use or utilize this time. And the thing is that it is important you to understand what the problems are you are actually facing. ये तो मेरी problems थी. There are various different kind of problems which you might be facing,
Hmm.
that is basically based on your experiences. So you could basically do for that.
So coming back to the point now again. So you were talking about the special education. So what model do you think in the coming future would be a better one? Like according to your disability or according to you. So when we talk about the like special schools or exclusive or inclusive environment, so what do you think? What can be a better one?
Honestly, what I basically think is having special schools, like what I actually seen from my experience. There was a special school, but like like I have seen a special school. I went to a special school for a day, and I was not able to uh, sit over, like I didn't very really feel very comfortable over there, because I did went to a normal school for two couple of years. Because of that, I was not very feeling very comfortable over there. The environment was, I wasn't feeling that uh, hobby to me. So I basically would say that like special schools aren't very inclusive, because like the person could be or live in a paradigm of special school where he will be protected all the time and it would basically deal with the things. But what if the person basically passes out and basically goes in the open world? The thing would be very difficult for the person, right? So I am basically depending or basically concentrating upon that. So I think that there could be special institutes, like not institutes but special classrooms for the people of learning disability in the schools itself, which would basically have a period or so, like हम दो तीन पीरियड हो सकते हैं, which basically they could go and basically teach और वहाँ पे पढ़ सकते हैं, तो basically चीजें ज्यादा अच्छे से समझ आए. तो I think that because there they would able to concentrate or talk with their classmates as a whole, and like they'll be inclusive in the classroom, देखो inclusivity की feeling भी आएगी, and rather than they won't be excluded from the society, rather than they'll be like feel like they are like normal. So yeah.
Okay, so you mean to say like you want an inclusive environment in the coming future and looking for
Yeah,
that, right?
exactly.
So moving on to the means all almost towards the last of this interview. So next question, Maya, is that like what model that you see like in the coming future will be beneficial for persons with disability when we talk about disability? So there are lots of model that we see. One is like charity model, one we see as medical model, one we see as social model. So what type of model that you think that should be there in the coming future?
See, like I can't really brief about model because first of all, I'm not a policy analyst. I want to be a one, but I'm not. So the thing is that like what I basically actually see is that the stigma of social change is first of all the foremost more important thing. And I'm not saying that it shouldn't be comprehended or basically be supported by basically social model or a basic medical model, because there are people who are person with disability who aren't who aren't belong to the elite paradigm of the country. They don't have that much of resources. So to supplement their quantity or to supplement their needs, a social paradigm should be there and it always should be executed, and that could be very strongly done. And the second, the suppose the medical medical policy. First of all, the medical policy should be interested is because uh, there are things who are basically changing. The medical research is continuously being changing, and people are researching about stuff, and basically people are finding out cures about stuff. I know like many disabilities don't have cures, but they do have different kind of medicines. Like I have heard people who have taken what like I'm forgetting homeopathy medicines for their specific learning disability, and that have basically worked expoundedly for them. And like that could be also that is an aspect that could be basically reach out. And talking about the model, like the basic like the basic model which actually should be executed in the schools, it would be the social model, which what I basically said. And the thing that what I basically wanted to see, and I also been pointed out, like for example, talking possible disability as a whole, accessibility and reachability for the person who is on wheelchair, who is not able to see, or like a person who is suppose not or suppose he's or for example he's deaf, is very example to is a very difficult it is very difficult for them to basically go out in the world and basically do things. Rather than what I basically prefer or would say is that this online method should be beneficial and it should be continued. And like uska benefit uthate हुए we could have special learning disability classes or like counseling as at this platform, as at this platform itself. That could be very variably used. Like usse reach bhi badhega, we could able to reach people who are basically in distant corners of the world. And we would basically accessibility issues वो भी solve होंगे. And the thing that like that issue is that कि हर एक equipment लोगों के घर पे नहीं होता. But the thing or the most important thing is like many companies like Microsoft, IBM are really funding these person with disability programs in India. Like social injustice ministry itself has a very important program with Microsoft which isn't working, because as we know government policy initiatives aren't that very well. But there are many policy initiatives and many organizations are working with companies like them to basically have many instrumental uh, gadgets or instrumental things that have been promoted or given by the people of disability to basically like basically conquer or basically live in this harmful world.
We're talking about the assistive devices, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly. There
Yeah.
are hundreds of them.
Yeah, so it depends upon the persons with disabilities. Like if you are a person with blindness, a person with blindness will need a screen reading software.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that differs.
That is
Disability to disability.
exactly that is very subjective, that what disability or what problems that you actually face, and according to your needs the equipment could be allocated to you, or
Yes.
you could also buy that equipment. That is also based on your need or your yeah, that is also based on your need.
So almost we are towards the end of this interview. So like any message as a whole to the community, or not a community I should say, basically to persons with disabilities, like who are suffering with dyslexia or with any type of disability, or
So
the persons without disability, and as a whole to the society. What do you want to
so
say?
giving as a message of the whole to the whole person with disability community is like the first and the foremost change that you should have to basically brought in yourself is that to accept it. Like acceptance is the foremost step that you have to basically take, and that is a paradigm, that is a step that could basically lead to anything. That it isn't like if you are disabled you are leading the society. I've seen people who have disability are basically reaching, like Albert Einstein have a specific learning disability, and he's known as one of the greatest scientists of the world. Tom Cruise still faces or have dyslexia. Isn't he basically shooting 9 movies, working in 9 movies and earning hundreds of millions of dollars? He is. So Richard Branson, who's basically owner of Virgin Company, he basically lives in an island in Bahama. He has earned that much of money. He's a dyslexic. That doesn't mean they basically have accepted there. The what I basically saying is that accept the disability what you actually have. Say whatever people would say and they would say. That is the thing that could, and that would be there. That would be very instinct to a person of disability. Like लोग तो कहेंगे ही. So the thing is उन लोगों को अनसुना करो, accept करो, और basically work upon yourself with the help of others. So that is the main message that I would like to give to the community.
Very rightly said, like you said, like a person with disability should accept his or her disability, and then the family accepts his or her, and then the society accepts. So that's the step. What I think, like that's a change, a mindset change that we need. We all need to think. Either it's the viewers who are seeing this video, either like Ayush is there, so Ayush will also be bringing, and I will also be bringing through whatever way we can do. Either it's an awareness, either whatever talk we are giving, anywhere like if you are also a person without disability, so you should also give a talk. It's not like person without disability will only talk about with this person with disabilities. A person without disability, I can say, can speak much more wider and much more well than a person with disability. Why? Because there are lots of reasons. I'm not going into specifications because we're almost to the end of the story. Because Aish has already given his like message whatever he wanted to give. So very rightly said, Ayush. Like so, thank you and thank you so much for coming and accepting our proposal for this interview, a small interview. So
Thank you very much. It was a
thank you,
pleasure for me.
thank you.